manager, I used to sit in a room near a reactor so that API issues are closely seen and I get a lot of learning, not sitting in a central QA room. And when I did it couple of years, I realized that I can grasp in 2 years a lot of things. Graduate, fresh graduate or junior professional at the end can ask, sir, I didn't know the answer of this pie question, but I would like to know from you as a learning. This comment may turn the interview feedback. Wants to learn is a positive thing. Doing something different. Try to become expert in multiple things. A typical frustration of every junior professional. 2-3 years, he works hard, and then at one point of time, he feels like others are going, I'm not going. Why?
Welcome to today's podcast. So, today we have with us Mr. Chetananand Pathak, Vice President for Corporate Quality at Glenmark Pharmaceuticals. He is published author, and today we are going to dive deep in the leadership aspects that he has come across. So, Chetananand sir, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Sneha. Thank you very much.
So, sir, in industry, we have seen many people doing pharmacy, and then they are coming to the industry, and being into the quality. But when you are coming from the microbiology as a area, how do you see quality as a vertical?
Yeah. So I will take you little back when I chose microbiology as career path. Uh, in a normal family, everyone wants to be either a doctor or an
Yes.
engineer, and my family members wanted me to be a doctor, but somehow I couldn't crack those many percentage to get into MBBS or anything. Although I got into Ayurvedic, but then meantime, microbiology was one career path. Those time after 12th standard, we were only thinking of wearing white apron. That's all. So it happened to choose microbiology. And then when I jumped into it, I realized that pharma microbiology is also serving patients only. So ultimately, we are going to serve patients. It's not only pharma and microbiology being into injectable sterility, which is the most crucial part of pharma. And that's how I felt like whatever I'm doing is one of the best career path.
Okay. Interesting. So, sir, let's go back to your first day at your job.
Yeah.
So, what was the experience was like, and what is like that early experience which nobody has warned you about?
I think I started my career with a very fast growing organization, but I was doing stability studies, so more of a chemical testing of formulations. And why I accepted that job because microbiology I had full career to do as a education in microbiology, but I got an opportunity very early in career to learn QC instruments, chemical testing of tablets, capsules. So I said yes to that job. But after a couple of years, then I realized that I am not doing microbiology what I'm meant for. So then I uh, went to a multinational company where I started doing my microbiology learning. But what happened from a fast growing Indian company, I went to a multinational company. From a regulated company, I went to a domestic market company. And nobody had warned me that as a career, you should move ahead in career path. So in multinationals, I saw career wise growth is very slow.
Yeah.
And since it is more of domestic market, I had very less learning. Then I started missing those days of fast growing organization. And that's where I felt that I did a mistake. So then I realized that in career we should move ahead. And it happened that the earlier organization had some designation. In multinationals, there are very less designation as staff microbiologist. So I got a shock, like I did a mistake by going back in a career rather than moving ahead. And that nobody had guided me that. And then after 3 years of working in microbiology, then I chose another company to move ahead in career, and that's how I corrected in career.
Right. So, sir, you mentioned about the growth and shifting from one company to another company. But when anyone is in their professional careers and they are in particular company, right? So, what is advice that you would give? Shall they wait in one company for a longer period to gain more experience, or do you think that they should switch in intermittent intervals, or how one can decide to stay longer or to switch the companies?
I think the important is not whether you should leave the organization, you should change the job. Importance is growth in career. It's not necessary that you grow in career only by changing job. I grew in one company in 17 years from manager to general manager, from a microbiology manager to corporate quality. So it's not necessary that you need to change. You need to find growth path even within same organization. That's possible. And nowadays, all big companies they give growth path for the available talent. So it's not necessary. But growth does not mean growing by designation only. You need to develop yourself for next level, for which you need to expand your work area. You need to choose opportunities within organization to work in a different area and to grasp more skill. So skill upgradation will bring upgradation in your designation. I saw many people trying only for designation, but if you look into their skills, they have very limited skills. A microbiologist will remain a microbiologist, can become maximum microbiology in charge or a corporate microbiology in charge. But like me, I jumped into API QA, I jumped into OSD QA, I went to corporate quality, I did vendor qualification, vendor audit. So when you do a lot of things within same organization, designation will come by default. I mean, people will see you upgrading your skills. So upgrading skills is important. That will give you growth path. So it has nothing to do with should you change the, when you should change the if you are not getting career path even after developing multiple skills, then you have all the rights to choose your career path in other industry. But that's not necessary. Sometimes internal talent is given away if you're seen upgrading your skills. So that is one aspect. Second aspect is when you're upgrading yourself, there should be a display that you are putting all your efforts to grow. Performing in silent in a corner is also not going to help. So you have to participate a lot of things. You can become a trainer, you can deliver training if you are SME on something, you can participate in trainings, ask questions, go to your boss, ask him whether he can give you something more to develop. So a lot of things work in this direction. But updating yourself with respect to skills is the crucial.
Right. So I think that's wonderfully said, because upgradation is important, which keeps you growing from
Right.
one step to another step. And we have learned and we have heard this lot of time that keep learning. But when we are in a corporate job and when we are working, so we have certain set of day, like tomorrow morning I have to go to office, then after working hours I have to give time to my family, then this cycle repeats.
Yeah.
Right. And somewhere we get lost, and we also have that tendency that no, I want to grow.
Yeah.
But what are the changes that one person needs to do on the personal level so that they can adopt to this mindset?
I think it's all about mindset. You use the right
Yeah.
word. I have met many junior professionals who say, "Sir, I don't get time to learn." See, nowadays, a lot of learning stuff is available very freely on net, internet. Most of the guidelines are freely available. So, if somebody has to learn, it's not necessary that you need separate time to learn. So, on the go, if we are even on social media, there are a lot of stuffs on LinkedIn. People keep on sharing a lot of learning. So for learning, there should not be excuse that we don't get time. That is one. Second thing, for learning does not mean you keep reading guidelines or anything. Reading, I say sometimes it doesn't give, but when you are facing problems in your work, technical problems, you can go to books and find out, go to guidelines and find out how this problem should be
Yeah.
handled. What does guidelines say? What are regulatory expectations? So if you have to keep your eyes and ears open, lot of things are happening around. Today we are sitting here, a lot of technical things are around us. By visiting this also we catch a lot of technical knowledge. So it's only keeping eyes and ears open. There are a lot of ways to learn, lot of things you can participate, and that's the way learn. So that's only an excuse that somebody doesn't get time. Okay, you may sometimes get caught up in your routines, but you have to come out. You definitely you get one Sunday to think whether I'm going in right direction, and it happens with me whenever I travel. During travel, I always get that inside feeling that am I going right in right direction, because you are free while traveling. You are not occupied in routine on a travel day. And then mind automatically starts thinking about analyzing current situation, whether I need to do something. It automatically happens with thinkers.
Hmm.
Uh, for giving excuses, then nothing will happen. About it.
That's very true, sir. And sir, like when you say that you keep asking yourself question when you travel and like you keep yourself open. And nowadays we see whenever we see anybody traveling, they are putting headphones in their ears and like listening to music and they are in their world or just busy in their phones,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So in this scenario, it's very difficult for somebody to grasp what is happening around, and there is the difference between seeing and looking.
Yeah.
So when we look at things, we just look at it. But when we see at something, we ask question.
Yeah.
The way you said, you keep asking, and learning is not to be a bookish.
Exactly.
You don't have to read something or watch something, but it can happen through your surrounding.
Exactly. And that someone I met many people, even if they watch movies, they analyze what learning it gives. So that's a habit, whether you want to learn from whoever you meet, whatever. I remember one incident. Once I had to urgently travel from my native to Pune, and I had no bookings and nothing. Nowadays, there are sharing cabs. There is an app.
Yeah.
So I just checked whether anybody is traveling, and I happened to get one recruiter fellow traveling on the same path. So he said, "Okay, we can go together." And throughout my 6 7 hours of with him, I got a new thing as a recruiter for a big company. He has applied AI such a extent that 4 rounds of AI based interview, only 3% people reach to final round, which is physical. It was so promptly developed, and that was something new for me. It happened 3 years back, but that time we were not thinking of AI to have such recruiting way where 4 5 rounds of AI based interview with where only 3% 4% will get shortlisted. But I learned that how AI is getting applied and how shortlisting happens. So how tougher it is. And when we start thinking of AI today, we are talking a lot of for AI in pharma. For someone who wants to grasp something new, it was a learning for me with those 6 7 hours of talking with that recruiter. Although I'm not an HR fellow, but he told me so many new things in recruitment. And I immediately, when I reached office, I called my talent acquisition that do we are we working on this, like. So it happens. I mean, for a thinker it happens to that he keeps catching things around.
Correct, correct. I think that's inquisitive nature of yours is something which keeps you driving, sir. Like even like before coming to podcast, you was talking about AI. So I think there is some or the other thing you keep learning from here and there. So, sir, you talked about the talent acquisition. So, I would like to know when you take interviews of your team members or the juniors. So, what are the qualities that you look for in that candidate?
I think in pharma, this has become very important how we select a person because a lot of times especially I would talk on data integrity aspects. Those are so crucial for pharma, and industry has gone through the big hit because of data integrity. I see one gap in the whole scenario of education versus coming in pharma. I keep going to colleges to give guest lectures. I always talk with deans, principals, professors that are you teaching your pharmacy students, especially or science students, about data integrity? They say, no, we don't have it in syllabus. Now it's more than 25 years. Pharma industry is passing through data integrity related transformations, but our education is even today, it's not aligned for pharma, even the pharmacy education. That's a gap. So what happens when we select a person, say, let's say fresh graduate, we give them training, but you see, people should grow with that habits and grow with that culture. For a fresh graduate, that's a gap. If you hammer with your training modules on him, how much he understands may be a problem. Unless he passes 2 3 years in that culture, he will start realizing a fresh graduate may land in data integrity issue if he doesn't know that. So that's a gap. So when I interview a person, I see to it that on integrity aspects how he will fit. Today, for experienced guy, there he might be working in a different culture. We don't know from what culture he's coming. So I always try to challenge on integrity aspect by asking some challenge. If he is an experienced, I will ask him whether there is a scenario that something is failing and you are told that you are wrong, there is something wrong in your testing. So, how do you handle? So, when you ask challenging questions, you will realize how he will stand or he is likely to come under somebody's pressure to give wrong decisions on integrity breaches. So that way, somebody has to keep challenging during it because we don't know when he's put on the job how he will perform. With few minutes, 1 hour interview cannot really judge
True.
what will happen because many times the people who candidates come in a polished way, so they talk everything good. And as a leader, we by experience we develop that uh, attitude to identify the body languages of the people. That's very important. Whether his body language is talking the same thing which he is talking in a polished way. So, a lot of attitude related challenge to the behavioral aspect from what background he has come. And this question is very close to me because I always talk for fresh graduates, junior professional, attitude, behavior, not only technical aspect. There are a lot of other than technical things which are becoming important nowadays, especially for pharma, so that we get confidence that on integrity aspect person will be good. So sometime I remember one long back when I was manager, I met one candidate. He said he couldn't answer a lot of basic questions.
Right.
He was having only 6 months of microbiology experience. I asked him what you are doing last 6 months. So what you have learned? Do you know what is laminar airflow? You are working on laminar flow. What is the pore size of it? He couldn't answer. Then I said, you tell me what should I do?
Yeah.
He said, sir, you are going to reject me. And he was also not able to speak good English. Said, so tell me two reasons why I should select you despite of the fact that you couldn't answer. He said, I have two things going in my mind. One is, as a fresh graduate, I gave appear for so many interviews, and many people told me that you are fresh. We want an experienced person. When he said is, I went back to my fresh graduate days. I also used to suffer the same thing while searching for job. So scenario has not changed for a fresh graduate. So what he was talking was absolutely right. I said, tell me second thing, what is going on in your mind? He said, sir, I'm thinking last 6 months where I'm working. I asked many curious questions, especially what is the pore size of filter. I asked to my senior, he couldn't answer. I am feeling at this stage that if I am working with knowledgeable people, I will learn something.
Yeah.
If I'm working with someone who is not answering my questions, I'm not going to develop. And he was absolutely right. That showed a spark in him. So I said to him that I will select you based on this, but I don't know how we are going to perform. If I see that fellow whom I interviewed almost 20 years back, today he has grown in the industry to a director level. And he keeps calling me, we keep talking on his development. The attitude of the person took him to an extremely best level in his career. He had nothing to speak. He had no answers to the questions, but he could make that magic in his career. So that way, attitude, behavior, a lot of other than technical things are important, especially in pharma. And somebody should look into those aspects during interview process. That's a need today.
Yeah. I think attitude is something which makes that person who he is, and the way you mention in different scenario how they are going to act. And when we are working in pharma industry, it is very important to have that integrity factor,
Yes,
right? And that comes with the right attitude.
absolutely.
So, sir, I remember my old days when I used to give job interviews, and I used to prepare, all technical question answer. And I used to fear, if I'm not going to give that one answer, right, I'm going to get rejected.
Yeah,
Right. And after giving so many interviews, we never come to know why they have selected me and why they have rejected me.
right.
Right, selected ka answer we get because maybe after that we ask you, okay, why did you selected me, but why somebody is rejecting me, that answer we never get.
Yeah.
Right. And just before some time when we were talking, you mentioned about the book.
Yeah.
So can you tell us more about what that book is about?
I think, although I'm not an HR or talent acquisition guy, but during COVID scenario, I felt like, what did I do for the world? If because of COVID, if I died today, is there something which I have given back to the world? The answer to me was very shameful that I didn't do anything for the world, for others. So that happened that I thought, what is there with me which I can share with whatever time is left in my heart? Um, so I felt like I had done a lot of interviews, walk-ins, fresh graduate to up to general manager level. I have interviewed so many people in thousands. And that has given me a lot of insights of people behavior, fresh graduate, what problems they face. In colleges, professors try to help them, try to connect them with industry. They professors do whatever best they can do, but still the factor of connectivity of industry professionals with students is still not to that extent. So there are a lot of gaps to be bridged. So I felt like, whenever, as you rightly said, if you get rejected, you don't know why you got rejected. Sometimes we feel like, out of 10 questions, I answered 8 questions correctly. So what happened wrong? And nobody, as an interviewer, tells you why you are getting rejected. Sometimes because as a HR or talent, they don't want moral of the candidate to get affected if we openly tell, especially fresh graduate. They might become emotional if I tell a fresh graduate you are rejected for this reason, and then the scenario may become worst interaction. So that's, I think that's a always a followed protocol, that let's not give the feedback openly. But I thought a reverse way. If I talk on these aspects, that whenever you get rejected, what can be the probable cause? And you see, whenever, and any interview candidate can relate to this, when HR says, we will come back to you, a poor fresh graduate or a junior professional keeps on waiting that they were supposed to come back for months. And it doesn't happen only with fresh graduate, it happens at every level. So nobody knows if I'm getting selected or rejected. What is the decision happen in the interview room? Or latter, if they have 10 candidates, someone is better than you, so you are not best. But that's not openly given. So I try to give that in the book, that what are important aspects. Don't think that you are useless if you get rejected. Analyze why you got rejected. Can you understand that one thing I missed? So, what should have been my behavior if out of 10, 5 questions couldn't be answered? There is a way. A graduate, fresh graduate, or junior professional at the end can ask, sir, I didn't know the answer of this 5 question, but I would like to know from you as a learning. This comment may turn the interview feedback total U-turn, that he is wants to learn is a positive thing.
Correct.
He couldn't answer, but still is not giving up is a positive thing. He might have not given 50% answers, and interviewer might have decided by the time that we will have to reject him. But if he asks this question, it may turn the decision to positive. So likewise, I try to give a lot of insights as an interviewer. What I felt, I tried to connect readers with few stories. One story which I shared just now, spark in the candidate took him with the attitude where he had not answered any question, basic microbiology, but he could do that magic in his career. So it's not necessary that you are expert on technical aspects, you are a gold medalist. You see in the world, even a gold medalist after 15, 20 years might have not reached to a great heights in career path, but college rusticated students I have seen, they becoming big leaders in the industry. That's possible with the attitude. So that I try to write in the book, especially for fresh graduate junior professionals who do not realize this, that how should be the attitude, how should be the behavior, and how should they analyze their own interview failures, that will give him the further positive thing in the further interview.
Right.
That was the aim.
Yes. So, sir, if somebody wants to read this book, where they can find it?
It's available on Amazon with the name Hired. Uh,
Okay, hired.
Hired. It's a very small book, hardly 60 pages book I could write. But whenever I go to colleges for giving guest lectures, I try to give one copy to their library, because my intention is not to earn money, to reach students and help them to understand this scenario. So I always do that. So it's available on Amazon and Notion Press publication platform.
Yeah.
And I did the self publishing because I wanted to write my own book, first book. So I did self publishing. I didn't choose publication. I only published on an Ocean Press platform, because in Indian Amazon they only can push. I cannot directly
Yeah.
publish. Yeah.
Wonderful, sir. I think with your book, definitely the candidates will get more insights on how they can find, like, when they are getting rejected, how they can take it.
Yeah.
Right. And also for preparing for the next interview, I think it will add a lot of contribution.
Definitely.
And one more thing that I remember, so recently I've been taking interviews, and there was a college scholar, and there were four more candidates, right? The college scholar, like, I was having that mindset in my head that she's scholar, so she'll be best at what she's doing.
Yeah.
Right. And the other three resumes were like where the uh, percentage was less.
Yeah.
So I thought she will perform better than them.
Yeah.
But in interview, the scenario was reverse.
Yes. It happens.
Yeah. And I was like, she is the scholar. She should be like, the best candidates. But the way you said attitude matters a lot, like how you are approaching the interview
Exactly.
and how genuine are you.
Right.
So more than just the technical knowledge, like, the we also observe the body language and how they are approaching to the problem.
Yeah.
So definitely, sir. And when you are writing a book, of course, I assume that you must be reading a lot. So what is that one book or one article or anything that you have read and that changed the way you lead?
I think uh, if you ask me, I'm not fond of reading novels or anything. Literally not.
Yeah.
I read more of pharma guidelines and I try to keep myself updated on pharma guidelines. But still, I happened to read one book at airport on the bookshop. I read just couple of pages standing in the shop because I had time. Was Alchemist, the mm, very famous book. And I became so curious to know what happened next in that book that throughout my travel, I finished 50% of the book. I was still so curious that when I will get time to read remaining books, I couldn't read after I came in routine. But then in next travel, I finished that book because I was very curious what happened next, what happened next. And why I like that book was because it talks about following your dreams. Lot many times the situation comes that you have to give up on your dreams. But the book tells that the guy gave up.
Yeah.
Then something happened. He realized, no, I have to still follow my dream. So he goes back. He still follows the dream. Again, something goes bad in his life. He loses everything he has, not a single penny. And then he comes on road, he stays on footpath. And then one small thing changes his, uh, somewhere he asks for food
Yeah.
in a restaurant, they say no to the food. So he asks for the work. So he gets some work. And from there he restarts and builds big thing in his life. So I got very inspired with that story that never give up.
Yeah.
And I think never give up attitude works not only for following dreams, it follows for everywhere, for anything. Even for interview process, I tried to say the same thing. Even if you are not able to answer technical
Mm.
questions, don't give up till last moment.
Yeah.
While going, you can still take the opportunity. So can you answer these questions so that I learn? That may turn the scenario. So never give up is the attitude
Yes.
which I caught, and that helps at every level, not only leadership level,
Right.
not only at interview process, not only for following the
Mm.
dreams, everywhere.
Yes. Wonderful. And sir, now we have looked it at from candidates' perspective who are preparing for interview or who's getting rejected in an interview. But when we look it at from manager's perspective, right? So I think there are two types of seniors. I'd say one is manager and another one is leader.
Yeah.
So how you can shift from managerial position to the leadership level. So what would be that key message that you would give to the audience who's planning to move to the leadership level?
Yeah. I think first is vision about our own career, our own career path. If you want to grow to a leadership position, you need to understand what do you need. Technical is one that you need to know, mm, understand everything. Your grasping has to be good. Your administrative skills has to be good. Your handling teams, give what message is getting percolated when you speak with the teams is a lot of things. So I can correlate with my own thought when I was manager. I read one small thing on some website, management website. It gave me a two-liner thought, which made a difference in my thought process.
Okay.
And I was a manager microbiology. I used to think that I'm the best microbiologist. I'm the SME. I'm the expert. And I used to tell everything that in microbiology, this should be like this. It should be like this. To production people, to cross-functional team, I used to tell them that microbiology works like this. So I only was sharing a lot of information. So slowly people were also getting aware of microbiology by so many times handling issues, problems, rectifying the problems with me. That those two lines I kept in mind always that when you are expert in one thing, your expertise itself gets finished one day.
Hmm.
And there are two ways to avoid this. One is doing something different. Try to become expert in multiple things. Why you want to become only microbiologist
Yeah.
expert?
Master of all.
You try to learn other aspects. There are so many aspects. Second thing, a typical frustration of every junior professional. 2 3 years he works hard, and then at one point of time he feels like others are going, I'm not going. Why? So he thinks of changing the organization. You go to the another organization, he works hard, and after 2 3 years he again start feeling I have been used only. I'm not growing. So again he changes the organ. But if it tries to stay with the same organization and realize that I'm expert on only one thing, world demands so many things. So can I become expert in multiple things so that people will need me only on not microbiology? When I realize that I am growing only in microbiology, there is oral drugs, there is non-sterile API chemistry, there are not only injections because I was expert in injectable. Then I realize if I see big leaders in the pharma industry, when I am standing as a manager of microbiology, every leader has so many technical things with him. He has done API, somebody has done OSD plus API plus injectable. I said, when I will be able to do that? And that made me to follow my bosses that I want to go to API QA, leave injectable QA. Bosses said, why? You are a good microbiology, everything is in control. I said, and where I was working, there everything was available. Non-sterile API, 7 8 blocks, big QA of non-sterile API, a lot of chemistry. Oral solid dosage was 50% of turnover was oral solid dosage. So that was possible on the same organization. So I followed for a few months with bosses. It couldn't happen. Then I had a talk with my boss. Sir, this is what I think. If I remain in injectable microwave, I will not grow. I want to grow in everything. If I have to reach to your position leadership, I need to know API, I need to know OSD, I need to know a lot of things. And I want to wear those shoes and see what it's happening with me. And I may fail, possible. And that made a way for me. I was given opportunity by the same organ. Go as a manager, you can be transferred to a small API plant, look for API QA and learn. And you need to get mentored by your bosses. So you have to always look for a good mentor who will mentor you. That's very important. Lot many times people only think of designation. They don't get mentored well. They don't find mentors asking, sir, what should I do in my career? So that makes a difference. And that vision, if somebody has that to reach to that leadership position, like I felt I need to go to API learn. Need to go to it. And going means not taking position and sitting in chair. When I remember when I became API QA manager, I used to sit in a room near a reactor so that API issues are closely seen and I get a lot of learning, not sitting in a central QA room. And when I did it couple of years, I realized that I can grasp in 2 years a lot of things. And then I was given a charge of site QA head because I was knowing API, I was knowing microbiology, I was knowing injectable QA, I was knowing sterile API, I was knowing sterile formulation. Then they gave me charge of the whole QA where OSD was 50% oral solids. Then I said ki the trick is working. Sit near the machines, it will give you a lot of learning. So I, as a QA head, took my chair and went to OSD and started sitting in OSD block. That was something new for me. And 7 8 years when I was heading the site QA for API, OSD injectable, I used to sit near OSD because OSD was almost 50% load. A lot of problems in OSD used to come to me as QA head to solve. And one good thing is you don't have to be problem finder as a QA. You have to be solution provider. And you will find solutions of every problem. Talk to people, get to know, talk to bosses, talk to shop floor. When I used to sit near machines, I used to go to the machine to resolve a complaint, to investigate a complaint with my junior. Tell me how does this blister packing works? Why? empty pocket should go without tablet in the market. And I used to ask the operator, in what situation this will go? You are standing here, why you couldn't catch? So he used to tell one thing where I cannot catch is this thing. So I used to catch that in the universities. And likewise, I spent 7 8 years sitting near machine, which gave me lots of learning. But this made me realize in 2007 that made me reach to current position by learning API, OSD, injectable. And whenever I go for anything, I try to choose something new, which I have never done. Today, we are talking in today's panel discussion on AI in pharma.
Yeah.
That is something new. But I said I will try to speak what are leadership expectations. It's something new. So when I choose that, I'm supposed to speak on that. I'm supposed to grasp something from the world. What should I speak today on AI in pharma? What are leadership expectation? So I happen to learn for preparing myself. That gives me learn. So everything is a vision about our own career. If you want to grow to a leadership position, what all you need, you prepare for that and take time. You should not rush. You have a 35 years career. I see people trying to grow faster. Within 2 years, I want to become senior manager. Within 2 years, I want to become manager, senior manager. Within 2 years, he leaves, goes as a deputy general. Within 2 years, he leaves, go. But will you be able to survive if you don't give enough time to develop yourself for that position, which needs technical, which needs administrative skill? And only technical. I had lots of administrative learnings and learn lot of learnings even through failures.
Yeah.
It's not that always a manager become a leader and become successful. No. So I had a lot of those learnings, and through every failure you need to learn. That is another trick. So likewise, somebody can dream to be a leader, analyze what all he will need, what all administrative skills in need, whether he get to explore those skill development of those skills within the same organization or
Different.
different organ, whatever. So that, so everything is a vision.
Yeah, very beautifully said. So I think for like one to grow as a leader, vision is very much important. And then when you are working on that vision, you have to keep learning from different
Yes.
areas around you, not just one expert area that you want to master
And
at.
even you may fail,
Yeah,
but
having
think
that
on what
courage.
did I learn from the failure.
Right. And the way you said today, nowadays, patience is very much important. People are like, in 1 year, I want to get promotion, I want to go to the higher position. But having a patience and enjoying that process and learning through that process is important when you grow as a leader.
Exactly.
Very beautiful, sir. I think we have got lots of insights from this talk, and looking forward to keep having these insights from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.